fellas. Time for a new phase. Get it? Phase detect. We have it. Yeah, we get it. Phase detect. Clever. Welcome to 1996. Do you have any other features in the camera people might be interested in? Johnson, have you lost your mind? This is huge. Panasonic with phase detect autofocus? Are you kidding yourself? Don't you want to know how it works? Oh God, please don't explain it. Anything but that. It's a phase detect system coupled with the depth from defocus technology enhanced by contrast detection. Now hear me out. We now can focus on the phase between the depth of the focal plane. So just imagine the possibilities here. No longer are we pulsing in the background. We just phase our way in to the movement. Nothing would ever lose you in this new system. But it's your first try at this. You're gonna suck. It's not like your Sony level. Oh, we have phase detect. Yeah, that's what you have. As if it's like, okay, it's somewhat better now. Get real. Listen, Johnson, our engineers managed to squeeze lemons from the sacks of contrast detect autofocus. They made it usable because they didn't sleep ever. We wouldn't let them. And now that we have a gift for them, here you go, here's phase detect. They could make contrast detect work. Imagine what they're gonna be able to do now without being handicapped with an arm behind their back. This is class-leading autofocus, the best you've ever seen. Don't deny me this, Johnson. Okay, I believe you. Relax. Phase detect, Penny boy, way to go. So you have uncropped 4K 60p? Did you want that? Was that a desired feature? I mean, define crop.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Oh, little Penny boy, how'd you do it? They've done it. Phase detect is here. I've always said, if Panasonic could just get phase detect autofocus, they would take over the world. And now, here it is for you. Take us where you wish. Rule us in fairness. But here you are, and it works. It's not like it's kind of phase detect. It's better than most. Better than Canon. Better than Sony, we'll see. Let's not wrap our horses in a blanket. So right now, we are on the Panasonic S5 Mark II, phase detecting our way through life, versus the little lowly Canon EOS R, a little 24mm EF lens 1.4, and I must say that Panasonic is now in Canon level territory. At least Nikon. In fact, I would say if you're doing this bullshit stuff where you're like, oh, look at this thing. Canon's slower. Notice that slowness? It's smooth, but not like good. Whereas Panasonic now is just like, hey, look at that thing. Cool, we're snapping. And it's on low speed, it's -1. Fantastic. It's very reliable. I made a video in my kitchen, I was like walking around doing recipes and would not lose me. I tried to get it to. How's the color science though? Is it un-Canon-like? I have a feeling something's gonna be off. A little too accurate. My skin's been freaking out hard. And I make a video on this, it's like Panasonic kind of shows those details where Canon hides them and pretends that you're healthy, and I like that. I appreciate it. We're gonna go out and do a vlog test first, the Sony A7S III, because I have the 18mm 1.8, and that will be versus the 20mm. Will the autofocus keep up? But so far, from what I'm seeing, it's class leading in every way. In fact, the Panasonic Pony of Hope, I don't know, man. I don't... Oh, hey, little buddy. Look at you. Oh, that's a nice set. Oh, God, why? Oh, I forgot. You being out of focus was your superpower. Now the hammer can see you anytime. Oh, he just clubbed you good there. Oh, Canon, you dick. Oh, that is unfortunate. What are you doing, Canon? Behave. Behave. We're both at 25,600 ISO. 1.8 on both. 40th of a shutter. Canon is in pain, in a lot of pain. Is Penny Boy struggling to autofocus in this low light? Was that slower than it should have been? Is it better than whatever the Canon is doing right now? This has been toilet time. Thanks for coming. Okay, what I want to see now, and then we'll go out for a little vlog test. I also have the 70 to 200 instead of the 70 to 300 that I asked for. So we'll do some wildlife. But right now we have Sony A7S III at 4000 ISO because apparently this is the second ISO gain for Penny Boy. So I'm thinking it should be cleaner than the Sony in the shadows. Are you seeing shadow noise? Huh? How's the autofocus? Is it amazing for both? Now we're gonna bump up to 12,800 and see, you never know. Penny Boy could stand a chance. All right, now we're at 12,800 for both. This is where Sony shines. Is Penny Boy shining in your heart? It could be. It could be. How's that 18 mil? Wow, let's go for a little vlog test and see, is the stay better? Is the autofocus keeping up outdoors? That could be a thing. May the Panasonic autofocus gods be with us this night. Okay. I like the little plot twist over there with not having face detect autofocus in 120 frames per second, Penny Boy. What's up with that? What's up with it? If the stabilization is in any way, shape, or form better than my Sony, I will lose my mind. It better not be Penny Boy. But there are definitely a couple quirks that I've found over the few days I've had the camera. And that is one of them. No face detect autofocus in 120 frames per second. If you want to go to 180, no autofocus at all. Okay, I don't want to carry both these cameras, but right now, Sony A7S III, 20mm 1.8. Noticing the stabilization. We're walking carefully. Careful is good. That's how you have to do it. If you want to walk, get some steps in those actions, get some quirks and jerks, and it hurts. Versus the perfectly autofocusing Panasonic 18mm 1.8. I'm being careful. Is there warpy stuff? There better not be. It's fixed. What if I pick it up a notch? Some jerks maybe? Or is it perfection? It sounded like they've been working on it, even improving it. Could this be the best stave in full frame business? It might be. All right, say goodbye to the Sony. We're putting them away. It's been nice. It's been fun. Dynamic range. They're equal. Perfect day. Cloudy in its origins. Okay, Penny Boy. So what I've noticed is this is finally the camera that my song sings about. Towards the end, it was, give me a GH5 with the full frame sensor and a Canon dual pixel autofocus. It finally did it. Unfortunately, it actually copied the GH5 specs with the 4K 60p and 180 frames per second slow-mo manual focus. So like, it's an old song. We were ready for something new, but thank you for finally making what I asked for in 2019. Oh my God, there's a squirrel. Oh my God. Hey, little buddy. Hey, little buddy. Do I have squirrel detect autofocus on? Oh, why don't I have nuts? Why don't I have nuts? I was going to buy some too. That's actually where I'm heading right now. Go to buy some almonds, see if we can get some slow motion squirrel action in 4K 60, since I now know that we can't do 4K 120p, although the Tonebas have blessed us this night. Panasonic no longer flickers in the night. No longer do they. Now let me just get this out of the way. This is not the Sony A7S III killer that I'm wanting from Panasonic with the 4K 240 frames per second, just beating it in stabilization, color science, everything. It's not that. It's the lower end. They cut some corners. They chopped off a couple pieces. The pony chewed through some of the wires, and okay, so we have this budget option. But I must say, if you're in the market for like A7 IV, Canon R6 II, this is much cheaper. It's just, can you live with L-mount technology? That is your only, like, you probably don't have any lenses. And you're like, oh, should I really switch systems for this? It's nice. It's just, yeah. When it comes to this crop, and we're in 4K 60p, oh, that was unnecessary. That was really unnecessary. So the A7 IV also has this crop. Canon R6 II doesn't. Neither did the Mark I. So Panasonic was like, you know what? It's okay. Sony didn't do it. I felt like if they would have just pushed a little harder up that mountain and did 4K full frame 60p, they might have had something. Versus no crop back to 1080p. That's what I've been filming on the Canon and the Sony and this so far. 1080p is enough in today's world. So like, I don't know, it would have been nice to not have the crop. Speaking of crop, we're trying electronic stab now. Usually I don't use this on Panasonic, but this is the new iteration. They've really like went for the algorithms to smooth out walking motion. So we're in electronic stab now. And one quirk I found, it's weird. So right now we're in human body detect. If you go into face detect, which you would think I want my eye tracked, but you turn, it loses your ass. So you have to be in body, which still gets the eye. It's just confusing. It's a little awkward. And if you big yourself up to where like your body, I've noticed a couple times when I'm like leaning on a counter or something like this, and more of my body is in the shot than my face, it'll choose the giant arm. Don't do that, Penny boy. Sony would never do that to me. The Panasonic autofocus gods be with us. So I feel like there's some algorithms to be tweaked and make it a little more simple. It's strange that I have to decide between face and eye. Just like you should have a totem pole of things. Eye at all cost. If you lose the eye, okay, nose, head, body, big arm. That's the last thing on the list. All right, I'm gonna see if I can find some almonds for slow-mo squirrel action. And then we go home. I have some more things I want to test. I'm gonna make a separate video for the wildlife with my 200mm lens. See if animal eye detect works. In 4K 60, it should. Will it be reliable? It might be. It might be. Panasonic has the algorithms to your heart. Okay, Penny boy. Everything is stacked in your favor. It's an easy victory lap here. You got the Zeiss Batis 25mm Tony 2. It's a third-party lens. And you got a 24mm 1.8. You're at 1.8. You got a 0.2 extra stops of a Tony. I believe in you. You can do this.
Panasonic autofocus, pulsing in the background. Never felt so lost and hopeless. All I wanted was to catch the moment, but I missed the shot and now I'm homeless. Pulsing in the background. Face detect exists, you bunch of dickheads. Focused on the algorithms instead. Sony sensors outperform the Tower Jazz ones. Made of cinnamon buns in your S5. I wanna focus on your eyeball, but you jump back and forth and say it's my fault. I wanna cry but nobody would see it. I'm the laughing stock that nobody believes in. Pulsing in the background. Panasonic autofocus.
I guess squirrels don't come out at night. I don't know why I thought they would. I'm not the most knowledgeable wildlife expert, but whatever. We'll get some in another video. I did get a wild run by dog, and that was interesting. 4K 60p. May the pony of hope live on in our hearts. Okay, so I've had a chance to review the footage, and not bad, Penny Boy. I almost want to say your Sony level autofocus is just your one algorithm with the big arm when you latch on sometimes to the body. That hurts. So you're almost as smart as Sony, just not quite. But like in that test, there was nothing to differentiate. It held up at every turn. Penny Boy autofocus, it's here. So to wrap things up, when it comes to lenses, if you're thinking of getting into this system through my affiliate links, I thought the 18 was your lens for vlogging. It still has some wavy corners. It's not perfect, so now we're on the 24mm. I think that's your lens. Then you're in a YouTube studio as well, or you go with something like Sigma. That's the thing. They're in an alliance, but is it an actual friendship? Here's the reality that faces you as an L-mount alliance user. If you want to do wildlife, your only option is that Sigma 150 to 600. Will it have sync stabe? That's the jury's out on that one. We don't know. I can't guarantee it, but Panasonic's longest lens is 70 to 300. So if you can come out with something better than Sony's 200 to 600, you'll have my attention. Something different, like a 300 to 600 24 or 5.6. But when it comes to lenses for YouTube hobo life, there's the Sigma 20mm Tony 2, could be viable. This one right here, the 24mm 1.8, not bad. Sigma has a 24mm 1.4. None of these are going to have the 3D pop that we desire. Sigma 20mm 1.4. And Sigma also has a 16 to 28. When it comes to Panasonic's new 14 to 28, I don't know who designed that thing. It's a Tony 4 to 5.6. 14 was too wide. You didn't consult me. That was the wrong ass focal length and the apertures. Tonyatures. I don't know that would be a good lens to get. So it's mostly Sigma stuff, which we know lacks 3D pop. It's a scary venture heading into the L-mount alliance. And there's all the Leica lenses, but they start at like $5,000. When it comes to any deal breakers, it's just the slow-mo not having autofocus. That kind of hurts. The Canon R6 Mark II has autofocus in 180 frames per second, but it's not very good. And that's what I'm noticing. In this, I did a little thing in my room where I'm comparing like 24 frames per second HD to 120, and it doesn't have face tracking, but you can put a box on the face, but it's much slower and less reliable. It's not even close to as good. And the 180 frames per second is manual focus only, and it doesn't look very good. It's not the best thing you ever seen in your life, but the cinema could be yours in some circumstances. So that's the one area where this camera kind of lacks. I think the Sony A7 IV will have much better autofocus in 120 frames per second. And the Canon's debatable. I don't know, I'd have to test it. One day I will. Panasonic should have the best stabe of the bunch though. I can't guarantee it, but this should be pretty good with the 24mm. Not much warpy stuff. It's a viable option. Not bad for a budget. It's cheaper than all the others that we're talking about. That's $500 less. That's quite a bit. In my opinion, they should have bumped it up a notch and added some specs, but okay. It just makes me more excited about the S1H Mark II. Video-centric. 4K 240 frames per second. HD 960 frames. Can't wait for that thing. Right now I'm headed out with the 70 to 200 in the bag to get some wildlife somehow. So I'll play a little clip if I got anything, and I'm going to test the animal eye detect. That'll be another separate video, so stay tuned for that. So thank you Panasonic for lending me the S5 II and inviting me to Japan. Some of us are not injected with experimental things and we're not allowed in the country, but that would have been fun to have sushi from Olympus. I mean, Panasonic's now a viable contender. They now have reliable autofocus and all the features that we've loved from Panasonic. The usability, custom modes, everything's great. So the future is bright. I thought maybe they were headed out of business at some point, but they've redeemed themselves. And now you might have something. Best lenses in the world with the Leica, if you could ever afford them. The 3D Pop could be yours. They do have a 28mm Tony too. It's $5,200 American. I don't even want to know the Canadian number. I'm gonna leave. How you doing? Subscribing? That helps. Bye.